For centuries, humans have looked up at the sky, at the birds, and just dreamed of flying. It felt like this impossible superpower, something out of myths. But that dream, well, it actually became a reality. It happened piece by piece, all thanks to some incredible engineering and just pure stubborn determination. So let's dive into the amazing story of how we finally conquered the air.
Because really, that's exactly what it was, this giant, complicated puzzle. And it wasn't cracked by one person having a single eureka moment. Nope. It was more like a chain of breakthroughs, with each inventor building on what the person before them had figured out.
And here's a quick look at the journey we're about to take. We're going to start with the very first time we ever left the ground. Then jump to the moment someone actually drew up the blueprint for an airplane. After that, we'll see it all come together in 1903. And then, check out how flight started branching off in some wild new directions.
Now, our story doesn't actually begin with wings. It begins with hot air. See, the very first solution to getting off the ground was to figure out a way to become lighter than the air all around you.
And that's exactly what happened in France with the Montgolfier brothers, Joseph Michel and Jacques Etienne. What they did was absolutely monumental. They proved for the very first time that human flight wasn't just some fantasy. We had actually left the surface of the Earth.
So how'd they do it? It wasn't magic, it was pure physics. By heating the air inside their huge paper and cloth balloon, they made that air way less dense than the cooler air outside. And so, the atmosphere literally pushed their balloon up into the sky. They had cracked the code of buoyancy.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. A balloon isn't really a vehicle. You're basically just a passenger on the wind. You can go up, you can come down, but you have absolutely no say in where you're going. So they'd solved the floating part, but that huge problem of control, totally unsolved.
To solve that problem, we have to meet the man who pretty much drew the blueprint for every single airplane we have today.
And that man was Sir George Cayley. His title, the Father of Aviation, is seriously not an exaggeration. We're talking decades before anyone would build a successful airplane, and Cayley had already figured out exactly how it was supposed to work.
Cayley's real genius was that he understood that a flying machine needed three totally separate things to work together. First, you need a system for lift, your wings. Second, a system for propulsion, an engine to push you forward. And third, a system for control, a tail to steer. This idea was absolutely revolutionary, and it's still the fundamental basis for how we design aircraft even now. So Cayley gave us the theory, the blueprint, but it would take a couple of bicycle mechanics from Ohio to finally put all those pieces together and turn that theory into a reality that could actually fly.
1903. Just remember that year, because this is the year that everything changes. On a windy beach in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, that whole puzzle of flight is finally solved.
And listen closely to those three words: sustained, controlled, and powered. This was not a fluke. This was the result of years of incredibly careful research. I mean, sure, other people had glided before. Some had even made these short, uncontrolled hops with an engine. But the Wright brothers, they were the very first to do all three things at the same time.
So what was their secret? What was the breakthrough? Well, it was their complete obsession with control. After finding out that all the existing data on aerodynamics was basically wrong, they built their own wind tunnel to test everything themselves. And that led them to invent a way to actively pilot the machine. To make the nose go up and down, that's pitch. To bank the wings left and right, that's roll. And to steer the nose from side to side, that's yaw. This three-axis control system, that was the real missing piece of the puzzle.
And this really shows you the difference, doesn't it? Before the Wrights, flight was kind of like falling with style. But after them, it was actual navigation of the skies. They had created the world's very first airplane. So once the fixed-wing airplane was a real thing, it's like the floodgates of innovation just flew open. And the next big question was, okay, is this the only way to fly?
And this is where Igor Sikorsky comes in. He imagined a totally different kind of flight, one that didn't need a runway, that could just lift straight up into the air, land vertically, and even just hover in one spot. He was dreaming of the helicopter.
And this created a whole new branch on the aviation family tree. See, while a plane like the Wrights has to move forward to force air over its wings to get lift, Sikorsky's machine used rotating blades, think of them as spinning wings, to generate lift. And that fundamental difference gave it that incredible ability to take off and land pretty much anywhere.
So, we had conquered control, we'd invented new ways to get airborne. The next frontier was a simple one, really: speed. We needed to go faster.
Propellers could only take us so fast before they hit their limit. But the jet engine? Oh, it completely shattered those limits. This brand new way of getting propulsion kicked off a whole new era of flying across continents, of military air power, and suddenly the world felt a whole lot smaller. And that really brings us to today. The spirit of those pioneers, the Montgolfiers, Cayley, the Wrights, Sikorsky, it's still alive. We keep pushing the boundaries with materials that are lighter and stronger than ever, with mind-blowing computer systems and designs that are always getting more and more efficient. We're just continuing to build on that incredible foundation they gave us.
Think about it. From just floating in a balloon to crossing entire continents in a matter of hours, the journey has been absolutely breathtaking. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? With things like electric propulsion, autonomous drones, even commercial space travel on the horizon. What's the next chapter in this amazing story going to look like?